Okay, let's go into our regular agenda. The first that we have is discussion and/or possible action to enact or retract the county burn ban and other items related to the burn ban. We do have Randy Dinser, who's going to speak a little bit on this about the fire conditions. But Matt, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Say his name and give us his introduction.
Looking today to have a guy who gives us, I'm reluctant to call anybody an expert in that field, what this guy is. He's doing Mexico tonight, speaks all over the United States of America, and he lives in Limestone County now. And I'm getting to tell him the lake house story. But this gentleman here is an expert. He works for everyone, the government, the state. He is the high gunslinger of wildfires and regular calls to storm chasing. Randy, I was trying to put together a complete bio. I can't do it.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to.
There are too many things in there. But he's going to talk to us about fire situation. I know that right now it doesn't look too great. Could we be going back to a 2011? I hope not. That was a terrible time in everybody's life. So he's agreed. He's got to catch a plane after this. We agreed to come up, talk to us about the weather in Limestone County, since he is a resident now. So Randy, I'll turn it over to you.
First of all, thanks for letting me speak. And I can't say this enough. Me and my wife are so blessed to be in Limestone County. We escaped Austin last May. So it's been wonderful getting away from Austin. To be quite honest with you, living out here is just a joy. So we appreciate it. We love the hospitality and love the area. I retired in February from the Austin Fire Department, where I was Battalion 2B shift. And I spent a very long career, total of about, 35 years altogether in the fire service. I'm still in the fire service. I'm not going to escape it, I don't think, ever. But after spending my whole life in the fire service, I'm happy to be a volunteer out at Westlake Limestone Volunteer Fire Department, which is where I got my beginning, was in the volunteer side. Through my career, I've worked anything from wildfires in Arizona, working for Picture Rocks out there, outside of Tucson, Dallas area, all over the place. And through working on two different sides of the fence in the fire world, which is the wildland side and the structural side, I've slowly become this expert in primarily in WUI, wildland urban interface, where the actual, the wildland hits our homes, right? That's where my primary expertise is. And I teach that. I teach strategy and tactics and preparation stuff all over Canada, all the way down to Costa Rica. And I do this out of a love for it. I'm not making money on this stuff, really, honestly, guys. I just do it because I've stood in some really, really bad situations. I don't want to see that happening in anybody else. So at the last association meeting, I really spoke out and said, hey, I'm looking at climatology. And by the way, I have a weather background also, a meteorology background, and I currently sit with the AMS Fire, Weather, and Technology Committee out of Boise, Idaho. There's 4 or 5 of us on that. And that's my phone. Sorry about that. But so I sit on a bunch of committees for fire, weather stuff too. So I know my weather, I know my climatology, and I've got a big fear right now. And I don't do this. I would never do this until about this time of year to see what the spring looks like. But I have a really bad feeling we're heading back into 2011. And I will tell you that all the stuff that's happening today and in the past couple months is a mirror of 2011. Is it going to be as bad? I think it could be as bad, if not worse. What's going to make a difference is these rains. And it's funny because everywhere I speak about this, whether it's in Canada, Costa Rica, Mexico, wherever I'm at speaking about this stuff and doing classes, it always starts raining out. So maybe you should just put me on retainer, and I can come down every 2 weeks and speak, and we'll at least keep our grasses. My big fear is that we head into a 2011, and just to give you all a little background on 2011, I don't know if you all heard about the Steiner Ranch fire, but I happen to be off-duty living in Steiner Ranch. Became the incident commander, initial incident commander for Steiner Ranch, where we burnt down about 30 homes, which was a big alteration in my life and my career, because prior to that, I was in charge of wildland and urban interface training for the Austin Fire Department. And so I prepared all my crews, all 1,200 firefighters, on how to fight these fires, and then found out we were completely wrong. Since then, I've worked internationally on some programs that we just released over the past couple of years and stuff. I have a really big vested interest in making sure what happened to me day doesn't happen again, which thought we were prepared, but we were not prepared. And any firefighters, any of these guys and girls and firefighters will tell you that you can train all day long, but I'll tell you, it really hurts your heart when you stand there and realize the training you've done or help design and stuff wasn't quite on point. And losing homes is no fun. It's very devastating to your firefighters. It's devastating to the community, and it has long-term effects. So with that being said, what I'm seeing is the fact that let's say we do go back into a 2011, say August, September. Some of the biggest lessons learned I had in 2011 was I was always used to unlimited resources. And as I was in charge of Steiner Ranch and I had more and more houses catching on fire, my blood pressure was way up here, stress was up here. I had firefighters going down to heat exhaustion because it was 105 degrees out, so I'm trying to manage losing firefighters to heat exhaustion. But then all of a sudden I was getting calls from the city because we were actually I forgot all about it, we were actually on a mutual aid call. And they said, hey, I need you to send crews, get your crews out of there, right? I need you to start releasing people. I'm like, I got houses burning down. I got 3 houses just lit off. I can't release what I have. They said, you're ordered to release crews. Biggest lesson learned in 2011 is if we go back into another 2011, come August or September in Limestone County, is we have to prepare for the fact that we're not going to have resources coming to help us out, because if we're not going to be the only fire, there's going to be a lot of fires. I'm sure any of you who were here then, I know you all had fires up here. I was at Bastrop, then I moved to Magnolia. I moved all over the state for almost 6 weeks of fighting fire in September and October of 2011. We were tired, beat up. I would bet you that over the next couple months, if we don't get any rain, but what we're getting now is just basically fuel building moisture, right? And it's going to let those grasses get up to where they need to be. And we hit this dry out, which if you look at the climatology, anybody can go online, just look up climatology. You'll see that through the drought outlook and stuff, it doesn't look good for us. So what I'm trying to say is, if there's an opportunity for us to prepare, right now is the time to do it. And people say, well, and how would you prepare for this? Well, if I could go back in time to 2011, one of the first things I would do was I would start training my companies. I train everybody involved. And I'm not talking about just the firefighters. I'd be training with the cops. I'd be training with medics. I'd be training with public works. I'd be training with everybody, because guess what? When one of these fires breaks out, it's all hands on deck. It's everybody, right? We're not going to get Forest Service dozers. And just so you all know, I just went to work for Forest Service. It might help pull a dozer or two in, but there's a good chance we're not going to get dozers. And I understand there's a cost associated with maybe training and contracting with some local dozers, but it might be our only choice. And if you haven't followed the fires that we're having out west of 35, there's no stopping those fires unless you can make wide enough fire lanes. And most of the time, even that doesn't help. But it at least gives us a fighting chance. Chasing those fires with brush trucks doesn't do anything. It just doesn't. So I say we prepare by looking at these contract dozers, these private dozers, train the fire department, outfit the fire departments to the best we can, right? Make sure that they all have the protective gear they need. And then also look at logistics. One thing that we learned really fast was that, firefighters don't operate without food. They don't operate without drinking water. And even though we all like to carry, I know all the trucks in Westlake and Groesbeck and Shiloh have, some drinking water on them, that runs out. That runs out quick. We're going to have to come up with ways of rehabbing our firefighters. Westlake has a rehab unit now, which is a beginning, but that's just the tip of the iceberg on a big fire. Because I'm going to tell you, your volunteers who have other jobs and other lives are going to be fighting this fire. If it happened like it did then, we have a big 2,000 acre fire here with nobody else coming to help, it's just going to be us. So we need to start looking at some ways to help that out now if we can. Training, I don't mind doing the training. I've already started with Groesbeck and Westlake and Shiloh. A lot of guys have been starting with the command and control training, which is right now at the level we're at is basically how do you set up the initial attack. But the next level of training is going to be how do you transition from that initial attack to, hey, we've got a big fire, now we got to start doing transitions with other teams coming in to manage it. And we also have to be able to do training that says, hey, you know, now we've got a whole new aspect, which is where do our firefighters use the bathroom at? Where do the firefighters, you know, all the logistical stuff. These guys are seeing it, these 100-acre fires, but when we start getting 2,000, 3,000-acre fires, it's a different game, especially when there's going to be 2 guys showing up to help out. So that's the first thing. So I would be very cautious on how you manage your burn bans. And the reason I say that is because I went to a Cossey fire earlier and I saw green grass burning, and that was the same thing. I hadn't seen that happen since 2011. I saw it in 2011. I saw green grass burning, and I saw it. And I actually, right after I saw that fire, I called my buddies in Austin who were there with me the first time we saw it. And I said, "Hey, you're not gonna believe it. I just watched green grass burning." They said, "Yep, here we go again." And so the state's gearing up for it. One nice thing, just so you all know, is a TDM now with NIM kit up there and stuff. There's going to be, I think there's going to be a better support network for the local jurisdictions. We'll just have to see how it works. But I think you will get help. It's just not going to be, we have to pretend like we're not. If we prepare like we're not going to get outside entities coming in to help us out and we can take care of ourselves, that's the best, right? Then whatever comes in, we manage them into the system and it helps us out. As far as the burn ban stuff, I'm going to leave it to these chiefs to tell you what they think about it. I'd be very cautious on the fuels. I think they're deceivingly dry. I've been looking at them pretty closely out there by the lake. They're greened up more so at the lake than anywhere else, but I think they're deceptively dry. They look green, but they still burn. So something to keep an eye on. Anybody have any questions?
Recommendation, Larry.
Yeah.
What do you, no, I mean, I'm asking you for the recommendation. You know, we're in a situation here with the county is what our authority is whether we're going to implement a burn ban where you don't do any burning within the county. I do understand that maybe some of the cities sometimes have the authority to override that, but nonetheless, the burn ban itself falls within this commission. If I'm hearing you right, and I'm assuming that's why the volunteer fire department's here, is that you're telling us that maybe we shouldn't even release this burn ban at all. Is that what you're saying? Or would you do, you know, for instance, let me just tell you a non-firefighter perspective. We're getting a good rain today. I don't think we ought to have 2 weeks worth of letting it off like we normally do in between meetings. But would it be possible to have a 72-hour burn taken off? And if only the wind is at a certain speed. Is there any other alternatives that we can talk about?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. One that I just talked to Chief Snow about that I kind of thought about the past couple of days. One of the biggest things with these burn piles is you don't know what size they are, right? You just get a call, I want to burn. You have no idea. First of all, I think personally that you should have the months of February and March. There should be an automatic burn ban. It makes it easy on you. It should be automatic every year, right? Let's take a look at August and September, because that could also be a 2-month period that you just say, hey, you know what? We're going to stop all the phone calls, all the people begging to burn and stuff. Guess what? I have a big pile. We got piles we all want to burn, but I'm not burning because I know better. I don't want the neighbors to think they can. So if you just take it off every year between March 1st and or February 1st, March 30th, take it off, you will fix a big part of your problems, right? That's automatic. I would also, again, look at August, September, August 1st through end of September, because that at least gives the fire departments a break during that time, from chasing, out of control burns. So the other thing is I like permitting processes. I think that, you charge a fee to somebody either during that time, it's kind of opens a little can of worms because there's a little management involved with it. But the JHA, whatever VFD has authority over that area should be able to go out and inspect it and say, hey, yeah, this is good or it's not good. Because I can tell you that most of the burnt piles we go to, they should have been lit off in the first place. So if you put a permitting process in place, and I'm going to take it a step further, but then we go into management, and then people are going to be like, well, why are we doing this? Until they get used to it. And I've seen it done in other areas very effectively. if you do a permitting process, the VFD would have the ability to say, you know what, you can't burn that, or yes, you can burn that, or you know what, we need to have somebody sit on it, right? We can do this, we're gonna have to sit on it, it's gonna cost you, we do a flat fee, hourly fee for what it takes for a brush truck with 2 personnel on them across the whole county. And you say, hey, listen, we're gonna put a brush truck here, you know, we'll let you burn this, pay your $10 permit fee or your $25 permit fee, but we're gonna approve this with us being at this fire, right? And then you do that in a way that it recoups the time of the volunteers who are sitting on that fire. And that way, and you can do that, Your Honor, you can do that not just during the permit time, but you can make that permit a requirement all year long, so that at least the VFDs have the opportunity to take a look at what they're burning. Because when you all get these requests, right, it could be the pile I got right now, which is 5 feet in diameter, or it could be, you know, slash piles as far as you can see.
So let me ask you, because there's people cleaning their land up and making this. But what about the person lives out in the county that depends on the barrel to burn their regular trash? Is that even something that's?
I think a barrel's okay. I think you stick with the barrel, the screen over it, you know, and stuff. Yeah, I think that you can make the common everyday burning stuff during a certain period of time. Now, here's the problem. If we go back into what we consider to be the 97th percentile days, which is what we had in 2011, which meant that 97 percentile days means that cedars are going to burn if you put a match near them, right? And your oaks will start burning. Everything's burning. There comes a point where even that is a hazard, you know? And so that's where it gets really kind of dicey. Like maybe that during the burn ban periods, you can ask, even they have to ask for a permit. But outside those burn ban periods, they would have to ask for a permit. I mean, I don't know. I don't have all the right answers, 100% answers. These are just suggestions and recommendations. I've seen them done before successfully. I also come from a city where we just don't allow outdoor burning. So we just go out and put them out all the time. People try all the time. But in the county, we also take care of the county, so we know how that county system works. But I think that outside of a burn barrel or a burn ring, I think that anything outside of that, and the burn rings can be bad too. You know, it's just, yeah. We go back in 2011, nobody should be allowed to weld outside. They shouldn't be able to do anything outside because, you know, under the right conditions, one spark, or you got a 2,000 acre fire, and then the county commissioners, you all are sitting here trying to figure out how we're going to manage through a disaster. I wish it was more cut and dry. But at least if we say, hey, the chiefs go take a look at this stuff, or they send somebody to take a look at it, even if it becomes a little burdensome, you know, I think it's a lot less work than chasing a whole bunch of brush fires.
Yeah.
So, any other questions for me? So I live in the county, so if anybody ever has any questions, you want to talk to me, any of these chiefs know how to get in touch with me. And I'm always happy to come in and answer any questions or whatnot. I've been out there in front of these fires thousands of times, and I will be still doing that for Texas Forest Service, starting here in a couple weeks, and I'm always here to help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
You know, I know myself, and I know these commissioners want to do what's best for Limestone County. I promise you, we've got quite a few of you folks here from the volunteer fire department side that are the one that has to deal with it. If we put a burn ban on forever, I promise you we'll have that many people out here. And so we may not actually win or lose on this. I guess today we're going to decide whether or not we want to, and we could have some other workshops. Frankly speaking, and I know I've missed a few over here lately for different reasons, I would love to have the Volunteer Fire Association come up with some recommendations at your meeting where y'all sit down as fire chiefs saying, these are some things that we could do. We're going to appoint David Snow as one of our representatives, county, if you'll help us pay his gas mileage to go around and tell people to give this permit out or something of that nature, or each department may do their own, maybe they have enough people. But just some ideas from the volunteer fire department is what I would like to hear. Like, once again, y'all are the ones that are dealing with this. I don't see the president here of the association, but what y'all's thoughts about that, about the volunteer fire department at y'all's monthly meeting? Take this on and address it on some recommendations of how we can live with and without the burn ban. Yes, sir.
At our last association meeting, we had actually planned to have our chiefs meetings, and that was part of the process for our chiefs meetings is the logistics, recommendations, such as the permitting system. However, the cost of fuel is a lot, and so if y'all think about permitting, then we need to remember that for us to go sit on the fire for 3 or 4 hours is going to cost us $100. And so that's something that we have to think about fuel. But we will be having some meetings moving forward to discuss our thoughts on logistics and our recommendations about the burn ban or different ways that we can work with the community. As a fire department, we don't mind going and sitting on someone's fire to help get it burned. That's something that we've always done. The community, they react real well to it. We had a big meeting down at our fire station on Saturday, and I had several people approach me and ask me if we'd be willing to come sit on those. And I informed them that we can't do that until the burn ban is off. So that is something that we're willing to do at Westlake. If you guys issue a permit, have them get in touch with us.
I'm not so sure. I'm sitting there, and I think the commissioner will agree, we don't have a fire department. The county has no fire department. Right. What we do is we pay the association fire departments monies, a stipend, if you will, to help protect the county as mutual aid with not only the counties, but the cities. And so basically, we have the authority to say there's going to be a burn ban, not a burn ban, and to allocate taxpayer dollars to help y'all do your job. So I would love to see the association come up with these thoughts and then bring them to the commissioners here and say, we'd like you to think about this plan. We've all talked about it. This is something we think would work. I'm afraid that if you say we're just not going to have a burn, we're not going to be able to burn it all, it's not going to work. So I hope y'all remember that. I'd love to hear you from the association. And that's why y'all meet, for this exact reason. The training that you talked about. The county said, well, we'll give you a place to have training out here. We give them extra monies at times. We're trying to do our part. We want to hear back from you. Does that sound fair to y'all?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jacob?
The next meeting is May 5th. We'll arrange the chief's meeting before that. Get that to you guys. This last thing. One of the ideas that I talked about with Mr. Denzer was taking the burn ban off and having it written in there that if any fire you would have to call in, any fire you would have to be attended, and all fires. Generally, what our grass fires start in the afternoons. So when the wind picks up. So we went to a situation where if you had to be attending the fire and all fires had to be started before noon, that takes care of a lot of the environmental things to begin with. And that's kind of a midline solution for the permitting process.
I want to thank everybody that's here for those reasons. We're going to move on. I know y'all want to stay for the entire meeting to hear all the ins and outs, but you're welcome to leave now if you're worried about it. So, anyway, thank you very much.
I don't know, I was asked to come here by David Snow, I think it's Matt. So I'm Matthew Snow, in case you don't know me, I'm weatherman. Did y'all want a little bit of input on what you have coming up? If you're thinking of taking off the burn ban now, let's go over a little bit of logistics. You have some windy weather that's coming in this week. However, this week, you probably just got about, I believe, somewhere between a half to a full inch of rain, probably on most sides of the county right now. Now, we have not gotten the rain that we thought we'd get out of most of these systems. So we look like we've got a little bit of production here. If you are going to take the burn ban off, now is the time to do it. It's also the time for us to get the word out about it, to say ahead of time, they are going to take the burn ban off on a certain day. You have this many days to burn, and we want you to be able to do it, because it's part of agricultural systems, that you know how important it is to people to get this done. We're able to reach quite a few people through WeatherNet, and also through, we just got our Facebook page started, and the Fire County Association has a good way to get a hold of people through each of the departments. If we can get that word out and put a short burn ban up, we can go ahead and tell people, we need you to burn early, get it done, because we are probably going to go back in the burn ban system within a week to 2 weeks flat. I think that's what's gonna happen. We would be blessed, and I'm sure Randy Bender's talked about the La Nina situation. We're actually in the third year of the La Nina, and what that means is we've had pretty dry spells. We've actually been very blessed that we would get big rains, and then we would get greened up and everything would get a little bit better. But we're actually in our third year. We now look, we're probably going into fall this year, as Randy said, probably, which means that we will pick up steam through the summer, probably. Now, the latest data that we have from April, from National Weather Service is saying that we will probably have a almost normal summer. Now, y'all from Texas, you know what normal summer looks like in Limestone County. That means after July the 4th, it just stops raining and says goodbye, and then we don't get anything. That means that we aren't going to, maybe we're not going to get our fall rains like we normally do. So now may be the time, if you're going to do it, to let them know quickly, we're gonna take off this burn ban, you have this, please do it now, because you may not get that chance again. Knowing that, the question is, do the fire departments feel like they have the personnel right now and manpower that they can go out and sit on these fires if they need to, especially as we get to the end of that burn ban, the lift period. Can y'all handle that right now? If you knew that the county was gonna go out there and line up some stuff and get it out of the way, would y'all feel like you could go ahead and handle that for this short period, about 1 to 2 weeks?
Well, anyway, let's do this right here.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate what you're saying, and I think we all heard you loud and clear. We're gonna go ahead and try to make a decision, move on today. My recommendation, and one of the things that we've done, I guess since I've been county judge, is if you take it off, you're giving me the authority to put it back on. So, if you were to take it off for, my thoughts were 72, 96 hour time, maybe through Sunday even, and then Monday morning we'll put it back on. I'd like to hear from the commissioners now and see what y'all think about this.
I think we leave it on,
Okay?
because last year they caught one of our pastures on fire, and it was a pretty bad deal.
Okay.
The problem is a lot of people don't burn responsibly. You know, they throw it right on the ground, they don't put anything around it, they're not out there managing it. And the winds have been very high right now, and it's gonna be a bad deal if we have a big fire.
Well, I will then, if the burn ban is on right now, I'll entertain a motion of any kind, to take it off. If not, then we'll move on. So,
I guess what I would like to know is from the fire departments, would y'all feel comfortable with us taking it off? Like the judge recommended?
On the south end of the county right now, we're comfortable for, 3 to 5 day burn ban. I mean, especially with the moisture we got right now, there is some dead fuel, like Randy said, it will burn. But with the moisture right now, if the winds are gonna subside this week, then we're okay down there for a little bit.
But you got a front coming that's gonna blow 25 miles an hour out of the north on Tuesday morning.
So there you go.
that's next Tuesday though, right?
No, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
That's Wednesday and Thursday, actually. I think it's Wednesday and Thursday. And so you take the burn ban off, and I hate to say this, but a lot of people just totally irresponsible. Burn ban's off, I'm burned, it'll make a difference, 40 mile an hour wind. I'm gonna have to agree with Stephen for 2 reasons. It rained 1.5 inches, still raining, might get more rain today. Can't get in a film to fight the fire. That's gonna be the first reason, and then the second reason is to put it off for 1 week, and this week's all wind.
Okay.
I think police people, I mean, I say it that way, but we control that. I think we just need to leave it on for now.
Well, let's do this officially then. I'm gonna ask for a motion to remove the burn ban. And if I don't get it, we're gonna move on. Okay. let's go ahead and, we're gonna not take any action on the burn ban, it'll stay on. And so, let's move to item number 8. Once again, y'all are more than welcome to stay, but we're gonna go through the agenda for the rest. And thank you very much for coming. Item number 8 is discuss and take action on the American Rescue Administration Service Agreement. The reason I put this on here was that, as y'all know, we went out for bids and gave the bid to a company called GrantWorks. GrantWorks gave us a bid of $214,000 to administer our American Rescue. Then we found out the Treasury Department changed their minds and basically told us we could pretty much spend this money as lost revenue for the county and spend it on areas that we saw fit. However, that being the case, there's still a lot of reporting that needs to be done. And I would like to work with GrantWorks, and they give me just a blank contract if we ever want to do it. But I would like to maybe, for the entire $4 million, $4.5 million that we get, I would like to offer them somewhere in the tune of about $25,000 to help us dot our I's and cross our T's to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. That's a far cry from what they wanted, but, and they may not take that, but if they don't, then I'll continue to work on this and see, hopefully we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, that we don't get audited by the Treasury Department. My thought was I was going to ask y'all if, and this comes right out of that grant, by the way, so it's not money out of the county. Would y'all be interested in spending up to an amount to help with the reporting of the what we have to do and how we're spending the money?
So were you recommending like around 25,000?
Yes.
Okay. I'm fine.
Make that a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, let's get a second, if at all possible.
Second.
All right, now we have a motion, a second, now discussion.
I have no problem with that, you're saying that you're just gonna throw this number at them, and that's gonna be our max?
Yes, that's up, yeah. I'm not gonna tell them that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask them what they'll do it for.
Because they're probably gonna ask what we're getting, and then they're gonna.
They know, just trust me, they know exactly what we're getting.
And they're gonna try to get
Yeah.
a pretty hefty percentage.
That's how they came up with 214,000 back when we were really limited on how we could spend this money. And,
What you're saying is we don't have to have them, but it would be much better if we did.
well, I actually have to hire, I really need to hire another person, to be frank with you. Either that or I could probably get it done, guys, but I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm lazy, but there's lots of things that we do here at the county. And this is one of the things that takes a lot of paperwork and reporting when you're dealing with the Treasury Department. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion will pass. All right, let's talk real quick about the item number 9. That's when we discuss the action on the county fairground RV improvement. This has been going on for quite some time, and one of the things that I think that we're losing money is that when we have shows out there, we don't have enough RV spots to accommodate all the people that are there. We went out and got a bid from, well, we got several, let me take it back. We got several quotes, not bids, quotes, on what it would cost to run the electricity in order to get 50 amp and 30 amp service at some additional RV spots. So that we recently, as early as yesterday, got a complaint from one of the citizens. They really don't want to put that on the, would that be the north side of the road, right in front of the arena itself. They thought that would not look nice. And so I've thought about and visited with that person that maybe we just go with 12 over there that are adjoining the ones that we have on, looking at the building on the right side. I did get I did call the electrician this morning. A pro rata share of that would be right around the $28,000-$30,000 range versus the $45,000 for the additional 8 on the other side. So for right at around I'm going to say just under the $45,000, we can get water and electricity to these spots. Road and Bridge is going to help us, and I know they said they would, but this would open up at least 12 new sites. Is that the way you see it, Ken?
Yes, sir.
And so, now they have to ask ourselves how we're gonna pay for this.
We have a donor, anonymous donor that's wanting to do something in the neighborhood of 20,000.
And
So I
so,
think we can float this, especially the fact we're not going in front of the building now, which was not something they wanted to do. I think we could float this by them and see if the 20 would be acceptable to them for these RV sites. And then we float the rest of it out of the money that's coming back on maybe
yes,
the precinct.
if it was another 20,000, keep in mind that the county has quite a bit of unanticipated revenue this year. I know Natasha can help me out on this, but even on our precinct 2, where we took the money to oversee that, that was over $300,000. I know we're not down on that much, are we?
We put the remainder, it's in the contingency line.
But how much was that?
It was $254,000.
$254,000 there. Then how much have we gotten?
And we've already
monthly?
used a little of that 254 for the backhoe, trackhoe.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. We certainly would have, out of that money's 25,000 at DV. We certainly would have that much money out of what we're getting from the Limestone County Detention Center that we haven't spent today, correct?
Right.
So we're still getting around, even though the numbers are down at the private prison, we're still receiving around $20,000 to $25,000 a month from that. And so we certainly have the money to do it. I think Ken would be the first one to jump up and say hallelujah if we were to get it. And then I'm just gonna ask y'all if y'all want to proceed forward, then we could.
Judge, can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Whenever you talk to the electrician, does that include the water too?
No, but I've added the water in.
As long as we're covered on that.
Yeah, electrical, 50 and 30 amp, and the water. We've got a water main line going straight through there. So it would mean we get road and bridge possibly to go in there. Well, this guy will have the trenches open. That's part of his bid. So we have those, and there's really on the 12, there's only 6 that we're using because we're putting 2 per. So, I've got that figured in.
While we're on improvements, I heard that the sound system does not have the right ampage out there. Is that correct? I just want to clarify that up because I've heard that from several different people, and that's the reason why it wasn't working correctly at the fair.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we've got it corrected. We've had several incidents and haven't had any problem with it. I think it was just an initial.
Because while it's on the table, we need more funds for that, and we need to discuss that because we just spent $20,000.
No, we don't need more funds because if there's a problem, that company's gonna have it.
So like in the stands, during the county fair, I couldn't hear like anything.
Those speakers weren't working, but we got them working now.
So we're okay on that, the amps.
As far as I know, I don't know what problem that is.
Let me ask you this, the company that installed it, will they come back out and make sure that it's working properly and show you a way to test it prior to events?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That would be,
Did you ever talk to him?
I did. He said he'd come back out. I just hadn't heard something, so I want to make sure that if you were hearing that you had any information on that.
Well, no, as far as I know, we're good to go.
okay. All right. Well, let's,
Judge,
yes,
you got somebody want to ask a question?
I just wanted to ask you, did they have sewage dumps there, these parking spots, or just?
no, we're not gonna have,
I just wanted
no longer than they're there, we're thinking they can probably sustain, but we do have a sewer dump station. So, what y'all's thoughts on?
Judge, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $45,000, subject to the $20,000 donation.
Okay.
After today, if the donation doesn't come, then we return it to the agenda item, see if we want to spend the whole 45. So I guess authorizing 25 out of contingency now with the $20,000 donation.
Okay.
And then if the donation doesn't come through, then we'll revisit.
I'll say 45 or.
Well, we can say up to that, it's not gonna be, that's one. Okay, we do have a motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's move along then, item number 10. This is there was some damage to the windsock at the airport. The Tremere sent us a bill for around 12, let me see exactly what it was, 1,200, 1,253, 66. This is one of those things that when the contract was originally written and we just renewed it, that all the repairs to the airport went to the administrator out there, Buddy Miller. However, I would leave this up to y'all. If y'all want to make this repair, they're expecting us to make it. We can certainly find the money out of our, I don't think we budget money in our airport, so we're gonna have to pay that contingency. But if y'all want to pay for that, I thought I'd leave this up to y'all so that I'm not the only one that gets mad. If you read the contract, it does state that he's responsible, except for the major items. Primarily, the airport has what's called an FBO. The FBO is the part where pilots come in, land. Y'all built that probably 7 years ago or so. We do fit an internet and keep that. On the airport administration, other than I really try to go out and pay, but I'll leave it up to y'all.
Why has he stated why he thinks that we should pay this whenever it's stated in the contract that he should pay, or has he given any reason?
Now, he's done this to us several times. One of the last times was on the fuel system out there. We wound up, against my advice, we wound up paying for the fuel system repairs out there. So maybe he's just thinking that if he doesn't ask, he doesn't get it.
Does it stick to like written insurance?
Yeah, but it was the insurance on it won't close it. I mean, the claim, not here.
This fee's $1,200.
Okay, with, and knowing that this is the last time we're going to do this.
Yeah, we do have a motion.
We have the,
Hang on just a second, Bobby. Let's go ahead and get into discussion just a moment. Do we have a second on that motion? Well, I can't really, I'll second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Now we'll open up for discussion.
Where is exactly in this airport management agreement, does it say that he picks up the expenses?
I don't have it in front of me, but it's not under the amendment.
No, I read the amendment.
But if you'll read it, it's in there, meeting. Manager, we provide, I mean, I can go right to it, but it says many times up here. As a matter of fact, we had somebody complain about it. I gave a copy of this. And they said, oh, I see. But I can show it to you later. I don't think it matters right now because we're going to pay it. Please read that in its entirety and you'll see it in there. Any other discussion? We do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Nay.
I'm out. Let's start over. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. What are you? Yeah. Nay. Then the motion will fail. We'll ask Buddy to pay that himself. Okay, the motion will fail. Okay, next item is discuss take action on regarding availability of office space for Texas Parks and Wildlife. Had a call from the Texas Parks and Wildlife folks looking to, they want to bring a biologist to Limestone County. Basically, they were looking for office space. I looked all over the courthouse, but anything I thought was suitable. Finally went out to talk to Brian Swick. He's got some office space out there. He's okay with it. I talked to some board members that are on the juvenile board. They say if Brian's okay, they're okay. And so I think we're going to, based on that, they're going to move out there to the juvenile office that's available. this is basically just to let y'all know about this. John, does anyone have a problem? That motion. And a second, any other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go on item number 12, discuss take action regarding available office space. Discuss take action on road and bridge, request to purchase a spray rig for 7,600. I was presented, someone brought this up to my attention, thought it was 76,000. And I said, man, that's a heck of a spray rig. 7,600, do we have any money left over in our,
We have to do a budget transfer because it's a smaller piece of equipment, so it's gonna need to come out of the 5,700 line, which is the over 5,000. You have in contingencies, you still have available funds.
We don't want to put out one of the bridge contingency.
It's still not gonna touch your 250 that was still sitting there.
Okay.
You still had some extra available. You still have about 21,000 in road equipment if you wanna move to that line.
do we have any of that 21,000 budgeted, planned so far? Why don't we just use it out of that?
I'm still, because it's a smaller piece, because it's not really road equipment, this is gonna attach to, right? Because the road equipment line is usually where we put the big equipment, the big, the track hose and the back hose. That's what usually comes out of that line. Like I said, all I have to do, if you're approving it, and just approve for me to go ahead now, we'll just have the budget transfer as record later on. But I can just do it out of the.
How many of these are we buying? Just one? Okay. And that's gonna improve the size of our roads, right? We're gonna put the,
One of the problems is you got so much grass that grows into the hole. We're losing 4 foot on each side of the road.
okay, what y'all's thoughts on that?
So we are gonna transfer from where?
I can, transfer, if you want to use the money from the road equipment line, that's 21,000, then I can just transfer it over to the, furniture and equipment, the 5,700 line, which is equipment over 5,000. Since it's a smaller piece of equipment, and it just makes it easier for in the future whenever we're looking for when we bought something, where we took it out of.
I'll make a motion that we purchase the spray rig.
Second.
Motion and second, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 13, discuss take action to advertise for county engineer for hire, put on retainer or in consulting basis. I know where this is coming from. This is because of our Senate Bill 270 that says that we need to be looking for that. Are we still budgeting money for that position?
Yes, we budget 20,000 for contract.
At one point in time, we were budgeting 75,000. I know when I first got appointed, I visited with Mr. Brandon across the street and had meetings with their company that they would work with us on an as-needed basis. But if y'all want to come out and advise me to do anything else, I'll be happy to do it.
I think to fulfill the law, we need to advertise for a county engineer. I think we actually just need one on a consulting basis. But we need to be on board with who that is and what that fee is on a consulting basis.
My question to you then is, if we advertise, what price range are we gonna advertise for? And that being said, we didn't budget the money for, unless we find a county engineer for 20,000, which I'm gonna be shocked if we can. Are you going to recommend that we advertise for one just, and I don't wanna say this, how can I say this politically correct? Just for the sake of advertising to fulfill the Senate Bill 270?
I think it's basically what we're doing.
Okay.
But I also think out of this, we'll determine that if we want a county engineer on a retainer basis, or if we want one on just a consulting basis, which obviously is the most advantageous to us financially.
And just so y'all know, I have contacted Senator Schwartz about, dissolving this SB 270. It just doesn't apply anymore, but, and I think everybody here would like to see it dissolve that, to be honest with you. Okay, we'll go ahead then and advertise, for a county engineer.
How long have you been with that county engineer? You just, before we even do everything on board?
Y'all know when Ted Cantor left?
About 8 years, hasn't it?
2015, 2016.
About 7, 8 years. And we, to fulfill this agreement, we have advertised for a county engineer about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we didn't accept one, so we've gone through the procedure. The law says that if you don't have a county engineer, then you can have a road administrator, which is what we've done, which is what Jerry did. And I don't think for what we can pay, we'll get a county engineer, but we do need to have, it doesn't need to be on the shoulders of Judge Duncan to be responsible to hunt for a consultant. And then somebody else on the board who's not happy with who that person is or how much they charge. So if we put out there, well, somebody bids that they would be the consulting engineer for Limestone County for X number of dollars an hour. And I think the judge knows some people that do that, and then I think that'd be great, but then we fulfilled our legal obligation.
If I remember correctly, I might be wrong, when I read in there, don't we have a certain amount of time, and if we don't find one, then we're okay in the bill?
And that's what we've been on.
Yeah, but I think,
I mean, it
It-
doesn't
it-
say
it
anything about
doesn't say-
continuously advertising.
It doesn't say that you have a certain amount of time, basically it says that you will be continuously looking, is the way I read it. So, anyway.
The best thing is to get rid of the loan.
I'll go ahead and, Bob, if you want to make that into a form of a motion, we'll get going on advertising for that.
I so moved.
Anybody want to second that? All right. Motion and second, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item 4, okay, make sure you have, Friday. Let's go ahead then and go into, item 14, discuss take action on salary adjustment change for the dispatch. This is, an advanced certificate pay. As you know, our peace officers in dispatch have the ability to increase with the different certifications that they get. This is a Christy Kennedy who has got an advanced certificate. What's your pleasure on giving? Got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, now then, let's do some budget transfers. The first one's going to be budget transfer 553. That's going to be for law enforcement, sheriff's office. This is to cover the a new printer for ID cards for all employees to have one and to finish outfitting the vehicles.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Now we're going to budget amendment for transfer 554. This is also the law enforcement area, but this is the jail. This is going to be to replace some kitchen covered classes for jailers, security equipment, and chairs for the jail. It's about $9,000. Once again, this is still within the budget. We're not adding to the budget. We're just moving money from. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item number 17 is the workshop on the American Rescue Plan Act. As y'all know, last meeting I brought to y'all.
Judge,
Yes.
before we get in that, could we, just for purpose of, to have it on the record, revisit number 10 for a second?
Number 10.
I just like for this to be on the record.
Okay.
Why we voted not to cover it.
Okay, go ahead then.
I found it under Article 2 of Management Services, item 2.4, managers shall perform or cause to be performed all routine upkeep and maintenance of the airport at his sole cost and expense. Managers shall be responsible for repair, upkeep, and maintenance of all airport equipment, fueling systems, storage tanks, pumps, buildings, and runways at the airport owned by the county. This includes, but is not limited to, repairing runways, taxiways, beacons, and hazard lights, the fuel pumps, airport signs, repairing the visual or navigational aids, and maintaining and repairing all county-owned tractors, mowers, and other equipment assigned to the manager of the airport. The obligation here under includes materials, parts, and labor are the sole expense of the manager.
All right, we got that for the record. Thank you for reading that. I couldn't go, I've only read that about 20 times, but I couldn't get right to it. Let's talk about the American Rescue Plan. Once again, I brought this to you to try to decide where we're going to allocate the initial amount of money that we got, the 2.2. And I believe there was some monies left over on the amount that I recommended of about $455,000. And I know that the city of Tossie has asked for a little bit of a bump, but I need to ask y'all, if y'all have been thinking about your precincts or your areas, is there any place else that y'all might want to try to divide this money at?
Judge, I revisited with Shiloh, they just had a reorganization meeting, they elected new officers, had new directors elected. And I talked to Robert Murphy concerning the Shiloh improving, building the new tanks on the land they just purchased and moving their supply line from the city of Mahale, which assists them, to the Bystone Water District, which makes everybody happy in that regard. And that figure that they're gonna do is running 250. So I'd like to see that raised from 200 to 250.
Got it?
And that only uses up 50 of that 255.
All right, so let's just do the math here. We're down to 400. I know the city of Tossie was wanting to get around 100 and 100 and a quarter, I think it was on. Let's see, I don't have the mayor's not here today.
It was their what, they wanted to,
It was a storage
it
tank.
was a storage tank.
Yeah. So 80, 20. So let's just put 35,000 for Tossie. Y'all talk to me now. We got this money. We're trying hard to give it away.
Are you doing all this just for water or you can?
Just mainly for water, yes.
So what are the totals now that we have?
Okay. Did you get this?
Yes. Right. I just don't, I don't have it with me.
Okay, city of Coolidge, 75,000, city of Wakena, was 35. They're asking for another 15, so we put that over here. I will say that Wakena, I can't blame them 100%. They didn't file for their share of the money. Even though I went out there and talked about sitting down with them. City of Maha's getting a couple $100,000, city of Groveland 125, city of Thornton's 50, city of Cossey is 80 plus a little now. Then we go to our water supplies. Bystone gets 100, White Rock gets 25, Shiloh gets 250 now, Port Enterprise 50, Prairie Hill 75, and SLC is 200. And I did have a meeting with SLC, so they're very happy about it. I will say this, the cities, two largest cities, Mahia and Groesbeck, if we could, I wouldn't mind trying to give them a little extra. The only reason I say that is because they provide a lot of work. But I'll leave it up to you guys, if y'all have some ideas.
Well, this is just the first half. Y'all, we're gonna do this again. Right. Some of these are gonna, well, let's just use Shiloh, for example, for me. They think they do everything for 250.
Yeah.
We get to the second half of our money and they've actually gone, the tanks are going up and all, it runs 308. So they may get 50 out of the, which would be 200,000 less than we got this time. We're gonna have a hard time putting it all into.
But remember this though, we're planning on 300,000, no,
We're keeping 530 out of the first.
but we're keeping 300,000 for the matching on the grant from the state if we get it for the broadband.
And that also
If
covers
that
that
doesn't
generator,
cover-
which we won't have to buy the same time.
If it doesn't come through, then we won't spend the money on the broadband. That's where West Lake and East Lake and all over is gonna get great internet service.
So that'd be about 900,000 out of that second portion.
Yeah.
But that's still a tremendous amount in that second portion.
Yeah, but don't forget also, we can use that for the county. You know, you just got one new truck.
Hard to get right now.
Which I thought I had this with me and I don't. I was thinking that that figure on the city of Cossey was around 175 or 185. But I
No,
can't remember. I know he had talked to you and I both.
Costi is 80 and, I talked to him about 125.
Okay.
Now,
That's what he said when he was here.
and that's not gonna cover the whole project.
Right.
That's gonna give a big.
Yeah, both of us on the council, that's gonna leave us about 120,000 of us matching money, not a cost deal. So I mean, anything extra we could take if y'all have it, we don't mind, but yeah, the original deal is extra 35,000.
Y'all,
White Rock is in
very great shape.
Commissioner Friday's precinct. And they're getting what, 25?
We could actually take this money and divide it by the number of what we got here. We're gonna take away the additions and just see what we can give everybody and additional. It's never gonna be enough, no matter what we get.
Oh, they always come up with shit.
Is that all White Rock is asking for?
White Rock,
And that's,
no, they're not asking for anything. Well, I say that, when I first had my meetings where it was just strictly, where we could spend the money on what we wanted to. Yeah, everybody wanted a new building, new tanks, everybody wanted the 2.2 million themselves. I think they got well over $1 million of the bank.
White Rock, oh,
2 million. You know, and so,
Point Enterprise, on the other hand, what are they on there for 50?
one enterprise for 50.
Speak this out and the county really needs help.
Well, there's some questions that I had, and I had to get them answered. Bill Davis area, the SLC folks down there, they can't even, they don't have the ability to have new people move in.
They can't even issue it.
So
Well, is 200 enough for them?
I don't think 2 million.
I don't think 2 million will be enough.
Why don't we up to 250, not a big shot? Those were the two worst water districts.
It took them a long time after everything, they were down.
Oh, yes, right. I think
And then I'd like
we
to-
were down on the
Judge, I'd like to see Point Enterprise on there as well.
One enterprise is 50.
Go to 75, like White Rock, go to 50. Which would be 25,000 each one. Just because we're so disproportionately handled, just because you hate to penalize White Rock because they've been financially responsible.
Okay. You want,
White Rock's not good. I mean, I've talked about it, but they're doing my stuff.
what about the actual cities themselves?
The only reason why White Rock is really down is because, they couldn't get that 10,000 support bill fast enough in the city of Mahale. Or they would have never lost water.
Say that again.
If the city of Mahale was able to keep the tanks pressurized on day before, White Rock would have never been down in the first place.
Well, neither would shot.
Or anybody else, frankly speaking.
That's all.
If Boston Municipal Water Supply could have got their Lake Mahia, emergency plan going in a timely manner, we would have been without water.
And we've addressed that with we're addressing that with generators.
Could we take anything remaining and just split between the cities
The
then?
city's okay. You want me to, we're not in a great big hurry, but we need to start acting on this pretty quick. I've got a report that's due this next week, to the Treasury Department, and I'll probably tell them that we spent none, this year. But, we're getting pretty close to where these people need to start being able to. They're starting to ask, hey, we'd like to get started. So why don't I put something together, and we might even have to call you.
And I have some other things that aren't water related, I know Fort Parker needs some help. they got the extra person out there, they can use some money. And I think keep things going.
We can put that on a future agenda. And then the only problem with that is we got to make sure the city road next to Mahale wants to help out too. I don't know if the city, the county wants to be just the one helping out, if that makes sense to you. You know, we all three own it, so. All right, is that good enough for the workshop, guys?
So we have 150 on,
I'll do all the
okay,
math.
okay, and you get something out of us.
I could add this and it is illegal. Anything else? All right, now we have the dreaded adjournment.
Well, I did have one question, as far as, on that, could any of that go to fire, like, the fire departments at all, or is that only, or were we only talking water?
We originally only were gonna, well, it was originally counted as infrastructure. So it was either gonna be infrastructure or broadband,
Right,
two areas that they allowed us. And, but to answer your question, no, we try to generate some money for the fire department. And we'll see what's left. You know, maybe give a one-time fuel adjustment to the volunteer firemen. What's left.
But you keep in mind, we're still gonna have 2.2 million.
We're hoping to get that next month, 2.2 more million in.
And even if we end up having to do the whole broadband, that's only 900,000
That's right.
of the next 2 point something. If we could-
But I would love to see us do some things with the money that are long-term, that keeps us from having to go up on tax rate. For instance, if we need a new bulldozer, or we need something of any size that we could do it, that would last 10 to 15 to 20 years, that we don't have to go back to taxpayers later and say, we gotta raise it. Okay, I think I heard a motion to adjourn. And I don't know what it wants to, but I need a second.
Second.
I thought you made a motion.
Okay.
Bulldozer still hot. Bulldozer still hot.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Jerry Allen.
Any opposed?
What he's making, grand.
You think it's 6
But Jerry,